Well, guys, once again, good evening. Welcome to today's session. Basically, we're talking about session 5. Bueno, mientras van ingresando, recordatorios, bueno, vamos en la mitad. Recuerden que ya todos están matriculados en lo que es el aula virtual, el módulo. Si no recuerdan lo del ingreso, en el segundo correo realmente, sí, porque el primero fue como recordatorio, la bienvenida. En el segundo correo iba como la presentación inicial y allí iba como el link que los llevaba a la carpeta de materiales, ¿listo? Para que tengan presente y pues hagan ese proceso lo más pronto posible. Bien sabemos que dada la naturaleza de nuestros cursos, pues digamos que todo ocurre muy rápido y por el momento no se ha hecho ningún ajuste en lo que es la cantidad de unidades. La otra semana yo me atrevería a decir que ya les confirmaría si en efecto hay algún cambio, pero por lo menos fijo, esta primera unidad que hemos estado trabajando, pues va. Recuerden si hay alguna inconsistencia o alguna pregunta referente a los cuestionarios, pues me la envían por correo. Guys, también hoy hice la revisión de lo que fue la parte, ¿dónde estoy? Así, en la revisión de lo que fue el escrito de la clase número 3, que tenía
La
pendiente
carta.
el correo, sí, tenía pendiente como tal esa revisión. Yo les había dicho que algunas personas pues faltaban, no lo revisé ayer, lo pude revisar hoy. Como siempre, los ajustes a tener en cuenta, pilas con ciertas cositas de ortografía. Veo que no sé si de pronto ese exceso de confianza o no sé qué ocurre. Hay palabras que quedan mal escritas y que incluso la aplicación genera que hay un error y aún así no la corrigen. Entonces, ojo con eso. No sé si de pronto a veces por rapidez o lo que sea, no se hace como la revisión, entonces pilas con eso. Y guys, al final vamos a recordar o a repasar lo referente a lo que es el proyecto para que las personas nuevas, pues, digamos, ya sepan si van a trabajar, digamos, los nuevos juntos o si sería como la repartición, que me atrevo a decir que es como mejor en términos de tiempo para lo que vamos a estar realizando, bueno, lo que ustedes van a estar enviando la próxima semana. Es para la próxima semana, pero obviamente la idea es que como que planeemos, por decirlo así, con tiempo, de tal manera que pues no vayamos a tener problema, ni mucho menos cuando vayamos a hacer el segundo, más bien, el envío del segundo avance. I just wanted to start with some like general information, to keep in mind. And before we actually begin, I'm going to take attendance, okay? Let me stop my camera for a moment while I do that process. Today is the 20th. Entonces, Sergio David Gómez. Está. Andrés Felipe Jaimes. No está todavía. Jennifer Paola Martínez.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Kiara Lisette Martínez. No está todavía, bueno, es un poquito tempranito. Jorge Moreno.
Present.
Ok. Diego Fernando Olarte.
Present, teacher.
Ok. Dana Valentina. Dana Valentina Ortiz. Bueno, todavía no. Manuela Ortiz.
Present, teacher.
Ok. Joan Sebastián Pavón. Beatriz Omaira Pedraza.
Present.
Ok. Hamilton Peña.
Present.
Ok. Juliet Stephanie Rangel. Ingresada todavía. Xiomara Caterine.
Present.
Ok. Jessica Paola.
Present, teacher.
So Jessica. Catherine Alexandra. Let's see the chat. Very good. Vamos a empezar Sergio. Sigo acá. María Alejandra Rosso.
Teacher, ya no puedo hablar, pero te escribo el chat.
Ah, ok, thank you very much. Así es. Muy bien. Marlon Yesit.
Present, teacher.
Very good. Mendy Fabián.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Karen Juliet. No sé todavía. María Alejandra Vega.
Present teacher.
Okay. Ok. Vanessa Zambrano. No sé todavía. And Natalia Navarro.
Present.
Ok. Y mientras tomaba asistencia vi que ingresó Sergio David. ¿Es así? Sergio David Gómez.
Present, teacher.
Ok, good. Entonces, confirmando. No está por el momento Andrés Felipe Jaimes. Kiara Lisset. Dana Valentina. Joan Sebastián. Dana Valentina Ortiz. Ah, ok. Joan Sebastián Pavón. Juliet Stephanie Rangel. Ah, me pasé. Karen Juliet Torres. And la letra es muy chiquita. Vanessa Zambrano. Well, technically they still have 5 minutes, just in case if you like have any information from them, because well, you already know how this works. Let me turn my camera on again. Let me make sure that the light is already adjusted. Well, guys, today we will have a review session. Okay, we will be talking about Unit 5. As you remember, in this unit, we have been talking about like different aspects. We have been talking about the body, we have been talking about clothes. Yesterday, we were having a look at, let's say, on the first part and on the second part as well, I'm sure, talking about comparatives and superlatives. Of course, the idea is to consolidate, you know, all this information. We will have a look at different exercises, of course, related to grammar, some about speaking, some about writing. So we make sure that we can practice different skills as much as possible. Remember, guys, that we have to start like projecting on the final exam that we will have next Friday. And of course, this is one of the topics that we are going to find. So let's begin. First of all, let's talk about let's say the vocabulary related to clothes, but we're going to do it like on a different way. As you see here, we have 8 sentences. What you have to do is to match the sentences so the whole information makes sense. We got to be very careful. In some cases, we have a question and then the answer. In this case, as you see, the vocabulary is talking about clothes in like very general aspects. All that you have to do is to match, okay? What is the idea of this first exercise? To refresh our memory with vocabulary related to clothes. Make sure that there is alignment in terms of plural, plural, singular, singular. So, sorry, I got confused with something, a message that I saw. Ya ahorita leo lo del mensaje. So the idea is that everything makes sense, okay? First exercise, matching. Okay, did you have any question related to vocabulary? Vocabulary
No,
or
teacher.
No.
instruction?
I have
It's-
not.
You don't have. Okay, very good. It's a pretty simple exercise. While we like adjust to the activity that we have for today, I'm gonna give you 6 minutes, okay? After the 6 minutes, we check, and then we will move to an exercise that is, let's say, specific about comparatives and superlatives. Let's begin. 6 minutes starting now. Well, guys, time's up. I'm sure that you noticed that actually it was like a little bit longer than I had said, but well, making sure that the new students, no, not the new students, but the students that arrived a couple of minutes later had like the opportunity to read the statements and do the exercise. That's the reason why. Okay, so as I was telling you, the idea is to, let's say, refresh our memory about the different topics in terms of vocabulary, grammar, and other skills that we can, let's say, review today using Unit 5 as our point of reference. Let's have a look at the statement number 1. Maria Alejandra Rosso, could you read it, please? The statement and then the answer, the second part that it belongs to. María Alejandra Rosso.
Teacher, no tiene micrófono.
Ah, yo pensé que era mientras la asistencia, lo siento. Ah, ok. Toca escribir. Okay, Maria, could you tell me the letter, please? Number 1F. I just bought a new pair of pants. You know, with pants, we have something, let's call it interesting in English, because pants in English is plural. In Spanish, we say un pantalón, un jean. In our case, it's like it is one piece of something. But in English, that's considered plural. And I was telling you that we have to make sure that there is alignment, like plural with plural and singular with singular. And because we have pair of pants, and as you see, F has was, then it doesn't connect, you know, with the idea of keeping the alignment in this case. So in conclusion, we need to, let's say, check that one because it's not F. Beatriz, what do you have for number 1?
Yes, I have the same answer, but
You had F2?
yes, but your opinion and then change. I maybe the answer A. How much did he spend?
Although, but again, now in this case, the alignment is like in the pronouns, notice that says I bought. And the
I
question
bought,
A
but-
says he, not necessarily the verb, but the person who's speaking. It's like I bought, and then let's imagine that we're talking to each other, and then you ask, how much did he spend? But if you are talking to me, why are you asking me something that another person did? So in this case, it's not A. Maybe let's see who can help us. Diego, what do you have in number 1? Let me turn this off for a moment. My eyes.
Teacher, I'm not sure. I think F, but I'm not sure.
Remember, Diego, that we said that F doesn't match, let's say, our intention because F has was and was is singular and pair of pants is plural.
Plural, okay.
Teacher, maybe D.
Could you read D, please?
They are very comfortable.
Very good. Notice that in this case, we see the alignment. Alignment is a word that I used a lot, you know. We're talking about the pair of jeans, as I was telling you, pants, sorry, that it is plural. And in the case of D, it is using they as the pronoun. So that's one thing to keep in mind. So probably, as I was telling you, we think of that like singular because that's how we do it in Spanish. And in some cases, we just make, let's say, like the conversion. But pants, shorts, jeans, they all are plural. Let's have a look at number 2. Hamilton, could you read the same? Let me see the chat first. Sorry. Pregunta María Alejandra. La D no sé, podría responder la 8. Could be. If we didn't have more choices, could be. Serviría, pero resulta que como solo tenemos 8, digamos, parte A y 8 de la parte B, nos quedaría una sin sentido. Entonces yo creo que en algún momento la 8 ustedes la combinaron con la D porque técnicamente cuadra. Pero pasa lo que
Yes.
nos pasó ahorita. La primera no nos cuadró con la F. So that's the moment where we have to make the adjustment. So in general, like in conclusion, those two alone, they work out perfectly. But for this exercise, then we had to make the adjustment. Okay? But you're 50% right, Maria Alejandra. I was going to ask Hamilton number 2. Could you read it, please?
That's a stylish coat.
Quote.
It's a formal party.
Although quoted singular, that second statement doesn't match the idea of the first one. So we need to adjust number 2, Hamilton. Let me ask Jennifer. What do you have in number 2?
I think so. It can be, oh my God.
You also had
That
C for number 2?
stylish coat is like maybe it's cold outside.
No.
So no, we can't wear casual clothes.
No. Maria says C. Oh my God, what is happening tonight? It's because it's Friday, right? It's not C. Maria Vega says F. Very good. That's the one. Maria, do you have microphone to read the statement? Well, actually, it is just a question.
What is expensive?
Was it expensive? Very good. I know that you may be thinking, okay, but in let's say real life, why not? It works. Yes, but once again, then other statements would be connected to, let's say, a response or a second part that doesn't make sense at all. So we have to be careful. Like that doesn't happen, let's say, a lot. Ay, alguien ingresó, ahorita no me fijé quién era, porfa escríbeme por el chat si quiere mensaje a mí sola porque luego le queda el 0 y se me pasa, lo siento, no quiero que eso ocurra. Let's have a look at number 3. I'm going to ask Jorge.
I think that
But read
is
the
H.
statement. The question
Sneakers, they're much more comfortable.
and the question, I
Eh,
mean, read the question too, that's my point.
do you prefer sneaker or shoes?
Or shoes?
Or shoes?
Well, you started with the answer. The sneaker that much more
Okay.
comfortable.
Sneakers, they are much more comfortable.
Much more. Very good. In this case, that's the one. Probably was a little bit, well, I'm not going to say that it was easy, but we had the connection. Well, I'm sure that you also noticed that because of the type of vocabulary of the book, we didn't use sneakers. I mean, the word sneakers. What is like the British version for sneakers?
It's similar at shows, elegant shows.
No.
No.
Tennis.
Tennis.
Zapatilla, no?
Tennis.
No, tennis.
Ah.
The thing is that our conception of zapatilla, we are thinking about high heels. That is like, let's say, the mental image that we have in zapatilla in Spanish. But zapatilla is talking about like tennis, you know? But my question was more about like the word in American English, we use, let's say we, use sneakers. But in British English, they use trainers, talking about the shoes. Okay. Just like to keep that in mind in case that you see trainers, that's just like the British version of sneakers. Remember that you use what you prefer. Karen Juliet, could you read number 4, please?
Do you have to wear a suit to work?
A suit.
No, we can wear casual clothes.
That's it. We can wear casual clothes. I'm sure that there is nothing else to say in this part. Catherine Rodriguez, could you read number 5? Let's see the chat. Okay, Catherine. What's the letter? In the meantime, I'm going to write here that if I ask you, it's using the chat. It is C. It's a formal party. Very good. Okay. Let me make the adjustment here. Maria Vega, what about number 6?
I'm wearing a hat and gloves.
Okay.
They are very comfortable.
Not really. Remember that we use D for statement number 1.
I say it's cold outside.
It's cold outside. That would be G. What about number 7? What about to finish this first part, Marlon?
Number 7, teacher.
Yes.
He bought an expensive pair of jeans today. What is F? Was it expensive?
We use F in number 2, Marlon.
Maybe number 8. How much did he spend?
How much did he spend? Very good. That's the one. Well, guys, to make sure that we don't get confused with the answers, let me display here the answer key. So once again, as I was telling you, we're talking about like very basic like elements of vocabulary, talking about clothes, but in this case, notice that it wasn't just like the typical exercise of the image and the word, that it is a good exercise at the end of the day. But at this point, the idea is to analyze how it makes sense, you know, like in these mini situations that were presented. So like kind of conclusions from this exercise, we have to make sure like there is a coherence, you know, plural, plural, singular, singular, that actually they make sense, and not just to put a statement just because. So let's make sure that we analyze all those aspects. Remember, like we have to start thinking about the exam, that there is this type of kind of grammatical exercise where you have to choose if, for example, you use the auxiliary, if it is in plural or something, and these mini details play an important role in this part, okay? Guys, do you have any question? Maybe something else that you would like to clarify from this part before we move to exercise 2?
Yes, Miss.
No questions. Okay, thank you, Beatrice. Well, guys, yesterday we began talking about comparatives and superlatives. And we were talking about certain rules to keep in mind. Also, we were talking about, let's say, some expressions. Why not? And the idea for you is to have a look in this case to the superlatives, like the rules about superlatives, like to remember them so you make the sentence correctly. Yesterday, remember that the kind of final exercise before the Kahoot was for you in groups, in some cases in pairs, to make sentences with the comparatives. In this case, it's only about superlatives. There are 6 sentences. In all of them, there is an error. The idea that you make the correction, you know, look at the sentence. So at the end of the day, all the 6 sentences are well written using the superlative form. Because maybe you said, okay, but for example, I'm going to say something crazy. But number 1, I look at the statement and it makes sense. Probably, but remember the instruction, the idea that all sentences are using superlatives. All of them. So make sure that first you find like that spot where you have to make the correction. Second, that you create the statement using the superlative. And of course, all the other general aspects related to like spelling and adding the suffix and stuff. Okay. I think that, let me get closer to the screen. We can do number 1 as an example. Remember, guys, we're aiming at superlatives. Number 1 here says, the good silk is made in Thailand. Now, remember that when we're talking about the superlatives, that means that we have to make a transformation to the adjective. And we also said yesterday that good belongs to one of the irregular adjectives, right? So instead of saying the good silk is made in China, what is the superlative form of good, guys?
Best.
The best.
Is the
Very
best
good.
teacher.
I'm not going to type the whole statement. So that means that the sentence should be the best silk is made in Thailand. So at the end of the day, we have a sentence that is using the superlative form. Look at them, make the corrections. Guys, do you have any question about the instruction? I can't see.
No, teacher.
No, teacher.
Right. In case anyway, let me know. I'm gonna give you 6 minutes probably to analyze, to check the spelling. If you find another irregular, of course, then we're going to check the statements in order to know that we actually found all the mistakes. Remember, only superlatives. And with this, I don't interrupt you anymore. Don't use than, for example. Remember that that is only for comparatives, but we will correct. Well, guys, I don't interrupt you anymore. 6 minutes starting now. Well, guys, time's up. Well, Jorge wrote that he had already finished. Did you finish, guys? Or maybe you need like 1 more minute. Well, that silence means that you're finished. Let's see the chat here as well. Very good. Well, guys, we already did number 1 as an example, you know, because the idea or the intention is that all the statements are in, I was going to say present perfect, are in superlative form. Let's look at number 2. Sorry, Natalia. Could you read now the, let's say, correct version of the sentence, the one that you created?
Yes. The best steel is made in Thailand. The second, what is the lightest natural material?
Until that one, Natalia.
And the
No, Natalia.
and
Natalia.
okay.
Okay, thank you, but very
Yes.
good. Like, stop. Very good.
Sorry.
That's okay. Thank you for the enthusiasm. Lightest, excellent. Let's have a look at number 3, Manuela. What is now the correct version? When I say correct, it's talking about the superlative form one. Manuela.
Teacher, I think that is good. It's fine.
Do you think that number 4 is correct?
Yes.
Sorry, no. All of them are incorrect. Yeah. Yeah. The thing is that in some cases, when we see like a mistake, there are like crazy mistakes, right? Like we say, okay, this looks horrible. And in this case, it's a little bit tricky when there is this card selling S. I'm sorry for that. In the chat, they say less for least. Very good, Jorge. As we have the highest point, like the most, the opposite is the least. You know, actually less is for the comparatives. Uno siempre piensa el más, pero el menos, por decirlo así, también existe. Less is for comparatives, and the one that Jorge wrote is for the superlatives. Thank you, Jorge. Let's continue. Mandy, what about, let me see the chat. Sorry, I'm going to turn the microphone off for a moment. Mandy, please, number 4.
Sería the prettiest dress is also the most expensive one. Did you hear me, teacher?
Yeah, I was waiting for the car that is selling X, like to pass by, but your statement is correct, Mandy. Thank you very much. We will see the answer key in a second, you know, in case that you have any question related, not only about the, let's say, grammatical combination, but also talking about spelling. Remember that that is also a tricky part. Let's have a look at number 5, Valentina. Could you read it, please?
Which teacher?
5.
Those are the ugliest sneakers in the whole store.
Whole store.
Whole store.
Absolutely. I think that there is nothing else to say. And let's have a look at number 7, Vanessa. Number 6, sorry. Oops, Vanessa.
You should wear your heavy sweater and jacket to our skin.
That's it. Very good. Let's have a look at the answer key. As I was telling you, not only having a look, you were already listening to, let's say, the answers. Just to make sure, remember that spelling plays an important part in this type of exams, like talking about if you miss or you forget, let's say, to type the T at the end of the superlative, it is going to be immediately incorrect. So keep that in mind. Also, well, here, just to make sure that we see, let's say, the opposite version of the most, we have the least. Notice the, let's say, transformation that pretty has, because it finishes with a Y and well, it has also the consonant before, the same case for ugly and the same case of heavy. Remember that we had the rule for 1 syllable, 2 syllables. We have also like that gray area between 2 and 3 syllables, and the one that has 3 syllables or more, we know that we use the most, okay? Once again, in this case, we were only practicing superlatives. Do you have any questions from this part, guys?
Teacher, I don't.
Thank you. Well, let's continue like practicing, sorry, because of the noise. I'm gonna send you a link to the chat in a moment. The idea is pretty similar to the Kahoot, but it is in this case a more like individual exercise. When you click on the link, you are gonna click on the start and you're going to have, let's say 20, let's call it questions, you know. The idea, this is this. The idea is that you read the statement and you have to decide the proper form. In this case, we're combining the two topics. We're talking about comparatives and superlatives. Of course, as usual, there will be like, let's say 3 key options, talking about the short adjectives, probably talking about extra letters. So we gotta be very careful when we choose the proper part. Well, I want to say conjugation, the proper adjective to complete the statement. For example, we know that beautiful is 3-syllable word. So this is the one to use. You drag it and drop it. And then you continue to the next one. You submit the answer, of course. And then you move. That is going to be the idea. I'm going to send you the link to the chat. This is not going to be like the Kahoot, like we all play together. This is going to be, let's say, a kind of individual exercise. You click on the link, you type your name. Let's do it here. You start and then the game appears, let's say, only for you. So you read the statements and then you choose and then you advance. Then after you do the exercise, you are going to see your score and of course we will see the ranking. Eso todavía no. Guys, do you have any questions? Okay, then here that it says result, we will see, as I told you, the ranking, and then we will analyze any statement in case that you consider that probably there was something a little bit confusing. Because, well, I know that this topic is really easy for you, but we have 20 statements. I'm gonna give you 8 minutes. I guess that 8 minutes is more than enough. If you have any question, let me know. I'm gonna keep displayed this slide. I don't interrupt you anymore. 8 minutes is starting now. After that, we will move to our written task of the night. Well, guys, time's up. Let's see how the exercise was. Let me refresh here. Okay, we had 16 students out of 18. That is a good one. We have here the, let's say the podium, Kiara first place, Catherine second place, and Valentina third place. Let's have a look at the questions. Here we can see, sorry, somehow the average. Let's say question number 12 was a little bit tricky. Here we have it. Let's all done. Notice that in this case, when we use less, it's already the comparative. Less is already being the comparative in that part. Less is the opposite of more, you know? That is why in this case, older would be, let's say, a contradiction. We have less and then we have more. Let's put it like more again. Probably that it was like the tricky part. Well, to be realistic, our attention has been like focused mostly on the comparatives in terms of, let's say, positive, I guess that would be the word, like more, and the suffix er. In the case of the opposite, that would be less. We haven't like used that one very much. Why not? But in general, it was pretty good. Guys, I would like to know if you have any question about any of the questions in particular that you would like to analyze. Let's see, we have any raised hand.
Means when I use as the superlative or
Comparative.
is the same verb?
Adjective, and no.
Adjective is good.
Precisely because the
change?
idea, it doesn't change. Because
It
the
doesn't
comparison is made with as. So for example, we say as important as. We can't say as more important because now we're like combining the two ways of making a comparison. So if we want to use the comparative like more important than, and if we want to use as, we have to make it negative. Like, is not as important as. So the thing is that the adjective that goes in the middle doesn't have, let's say, any type of transformation when we use as. When we use the comparative, we have to look if it is, let's say, 3-syllable adjective or only 1 or 2. Okay. Good,
okay.
Any other question, guys? Okay, actually, the next part, it's more like a written exercise. Okay, let me check one thing in here. Perfect. Well, we have been talking about the comparatives. Well, yesterday a little bit more. Today we have been practicing about superlatives. In this previous exercise on the game, the idea was like to put into practice comparative superlatives and even including less and the least. The next exercise is going to be a written one, and you will be doing this exercise in groups. We're going to combine comparatives and superlatives, which is going to be our topic, let's say, that is going to be work as our context. We're going to be talking about fabrics. Among all the possible fabrics that we may find, we're going to compare silk, wool, cotton, and synthetic fiber. Which are like the aspects to keep in mind. We're talking about the price, the weight, the warmth, talking about like, you know, how, let's say, cool or maybe hot it can feel, and the texture. Here we have some symbols, you know, the symbols are telling us, let's say, the degree or how, in this case, expensive or how cheap it is, how heavy it could be, so on and so forth. Here we have some adjectives that we can use, just a way like, let's say, of inspiration. But actually, if you want to use other adjectives, would be great. You know, like the opposites, we have cheap, expensive, light, heavy, warm and cool, rough and smooth. Look at the example that we have in here, because the idea, once again, is that we have a look at the different fabrics, and we can make 2 sentences for each situation using comparative and superlative. For example, we're going to have a look here at silk and wool. It says wool is usually more expensive than cotton. I said wool and silk, but it is wool and cotton in this case. And on the other one, we said that silk is the most expensive material. Notice that if we compare the 4 fabrics, silk is usually the most expensive. I don't know how much it is, but silk is definitely more expensive compared to the, for example, wool one. So you're going to have a look at the chart, and the idea that you're going to make sentences using comparatives and superlatives. In total, you're going to create 5 sentences, okay? Here we have the adjectives. What is also going to be the idea? Remember that when we were studying these units in particular, this topic in particular, we were also using some expressions. And I was telling you, of course, we can use comparatives and superlatives, but we also have other expressions to make comparisons. For example, Beatriz was talking about as. Remember that we were talking about look like, we were talking about similar to, and those expressions are also very useful when we're talking about making comparisons. What is the idea? That in this part you use comparatives and superlatives and also the other expressions to compare. Guys, is the instruction clear?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, so let me adjust here because what I want to see when we get back, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. On each group, one of you is going to share the screen with all of us, so we have the opportunity to see the sentences that you create, okay? It is not like you're only going to read them, type them, you decide which one of you will be the person in charge, you assign the role, let's say, of the note taker, and that person eventually will share the screen when we get back to the general call to see how the sentences were created and to, of course, analyze them a little bit. Todos los participantes. Excellent. Guys, when all of you arrive, you know, to the different breakout rooms, you are going to have 10 minutes to create the 5 sentences. Each group is going to have 3 participants. So the idea that we make, let's say, proper use of time. We don't have questions. Let's start. Karen, Marlon, Valentina. Are you here? Maybe do you have problems? Okay. Karen and Marlon.
Hola, profe, yo estaba sola.
Hello. Manuela. No, Manuela, ya llegó, por decirlo así, Karen Juliet. Y también, ya se fue.
Nada derecho.
Hi guys, I don't know you have any question. I guess that Andres called me.
No,
Hola,
teacher,
profe. Nosotros
it's
apenas
okay.
llegamos a esta sala. Yo tenía problemas para entrar a la sala. Estaba en una sala sola y apenas llegué a esta, entonces estamos
Me too.
Listo.
como...
Me sacó de la reunión.
Ok, listo. No problema.
Sí,
Listo,
entonces
guys.
ya vamos a arrancar.
Perfecto. Bueno, bye.
Bye.
Okay, guys, welcome back. Now what we are going to do, as I told you before we started the exercise, the idea is for you to share your statements. Okay, so in this moment, I want to turn my camera off. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So from each group, remember, you are going to share your screen to see the statements. So we have room number 1, Jennifer, Natalia, and Vanessa. Which of you ladies is in charge of sharing the screen to see the statements?
Silk is more expensive than synthetic fiber.
Vanessa, but remember that I told you like to share the screen, you know, like to have a look also at your statements.
Okay, ¿comparto?
Sí,
Oh.
señora, sí. Debe permitirte todavía compartir o no.
Ya.
Compartir, sí. Yeah, there it is. Now, could you read them?
¿Sí se ve? Sí.
Sí, sí, señora. Sí, los intenta confirmar y sale bien.
Okay. Silk is more expensive than synthetic fiber. Cotton is cheaper than wool.
Cheaper.
Synthetic fiber is the cheapest. Silk is the lightest material. Wool is the heavier than silk. Silk is a warp or synthetic fiber. Silk is the coldest material.
Coldest. Let's make a correct. Most of them are correct. Bueno, no le pusiste el número. Póngale el número, por favor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In number 5, you said wool is the heavier. Because it is a comparative, we eliminate the. El de solo es con los superlativos. Entonces, wool is heavier than silk.
¿Así?
Perfecto, sí, señora. Perfect. Thank you, Vanessa.
Okay, teacher.
Okay, let's have a look at room number 2. We had Jorge, Catherine, and Jessica. Who's going to share the screen?
Yo.
Okay, Jorge, very good. There it is. Let's read them.
The first, silk is most expensive than synthetic fiber. Wool is warmer than cotton and silk. Silk is softer than wool and cotton. Synthetic fiber is less sour than silk, but wool is the smoothest material. Wool is the hottest material.
Okay, most of them are perfect. We have to make only 2 adjustments. Let's have a look at number 1. You have silk is most expensive than. Remember that if we have than, we use more. Because most is superlative. Silk is more expensive than synthetic material. And number 4. Remember, less is already the comparative. So we don't make any transformation to the adjective. It's less rough. And the other ones are perfect. Thank you, Jorge, and group number 2.
Okay.
Well, let's continue. In group number 3, we have Beatriz, Maria Vega, and Xiomara. Who's going to share screen?
Entonces, number 1. Silk is as cool as synthetic fiber, but wool is the most warm. Number 2, silk is more expensive than cotton, but the silk is the smoothest of the market. 3, wool is warmer than cotton, but synthetic fiber is the cheapest.
Cheapest.
4, wool is heavier
Heavier.
than cotton, but wool is the roughest texture.
Roughest.
Roughest.
It's actually, it sounds like an F, roughest.
Roughest.
Mhm.
Number 5, silk is less heavy than synthetic fiber, but wool is the most heavy.
Okay, only 2 adjustments, Beatrice and group number 3. Warm and heavy are short adjectives. And in this case, we add the suffix in the superlative form. So we don't say most warm. In number 1 would be the warmest. And in number 5 would be the heaviest.
Okay.
Yeah, because they are short adjectives. And in number 1 with warm. Not the most warm, the warmest.
Not the warmest.
Very good.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. Beatriz and group number 3. Let's have a look at group number 4. Maria Alejandra, Diego, and Valentina, who's going to share screen.
Hi, teacher.
Okay, Diego, very good.
Can you see?
Yes.
Okay. First, wool is heavier than cotton. Second, silk is more expensive than cotton. Third, silk will always be softer than synthetic fiber. Fourth, synthetic fiber is less heavy than wool. And fifth, wool is ruggeder than silk, but it is cheaper.
Rougher. I know that this combination of letters, it is, don't stop sharing yet. It's a little bit weird, but when we see this like UGH, that usually sounds like F. Only one correction, similar to what I was pointing out in Beatrice's, well, group number 3's example. In number 4, you have less heavy. It's the opposite. Sorry. No. I was thinking about the most. I was going to say, well, you use only comparatives and superlatives. And it's okay, you know. I was expecting also the expressions, remember? Like as or those things. But they are all correct. Sorry, Diego.
Okay, teacher.
In conclusion, they are correct. Thank you. And of course, group number 4. Group number 5, we have Hamilton, Kiara, and Mandy. Who's going to share a screen?
Okay, teacher, I'm going to share the screen.
Okay, Mandy, thank you.
Can you see, teacher?
Well, let's zoom in a little bit, please. Okay, it's better. Like that, it's okay.
Okay, teacher, the synthetic fiber is the cheapest material and the wool is the warmest material. The first one. The second one, the synthetic fiber is cheaper than wool, but the wool is the roughest material. The cotton is heavier than synthetic fiber, but the synthetic fiber is cooler than the cotton.
Okay.
Silk is the lightest material, but the wool is warmer than silk. And the last one, the synthetic fiber as warm as the silk, and the cotton is the warmest material.
Okay, Mandy, very good. Only one thing in number 5. The synthetic fiber is as warm as the silk.
Okay, teacher, is okay. Thank you. is as well.
Yeah, in that type of statement, when we're using as, we use the verb to be. In this case, well, we use present because we can say that it is like a regular thing, but that means that could be in past, in present continuous, in present perfect, but with the verb to be. Perfect. Mandy, thank you very much. And also group
Teacher,
number
una
5.
pregunta.
Let me see the chat first. Ah, bueno,
Oh.
Kiara, tú del mismo equipo.
Sí.
Okay.
What is the difference in of color and colders or colders? When is
Cooler.
correct use colder or color?
Well, let's say that cooler, like to avoid confusions, es más fresco. I think they are meeting these two ones, right? These ones, Kiara?
Yes, teacher, this.
And colder is más frío. So if we think about temperature, well, maybe in my opinion, if we say cooler would be like maybe 15 or 14 degrees, while colder would be, 9 or 8 degrees Celsius, of course.
Okay, teacher.
Entre frío y
Thank
fresco.
you.
Okay, welcome. Hamilton, in a moment, we will talk about the question that you sent. Okay, let's continue with our groups. ¿Qué les hice? Sorry. Because I'm not sharing the screen, it looks like unfamiliar to me. Well, we have group number 6, Andres Felipe, Karen, and Manuela. So which of you guys is going to share screen?
Teacher, 1 second, please.
Sure.
Can you see?
It's loading.
Okay.
There it is.
Okay. Synthetic fiber is less smooth than cotton, and synthetic fiber is heavier than silk. The second one, wool is more expensive than synthetic fiber, but synthetic fiber is, I don't know, rougher, okay, than silk. Number 3, cotton is usually smoother than synthetic fiber, but silk is the smoothest material. Silk is usually coldest than wool, but wool is cheaper than silk. And cotton is usually cheaper than silk, but synthetic fiber is the cheapest material.
Okay, Manuela, group number 6. Let's make some adjustments. The first one, because you're using than, that means that we are talking about the comparative. So instead of least, use less. Synthetic fiber is less smooth. Least would be for superlatives. Okay. And I was having a look at, that would be 4. Notice that you have than again. So that means that we have to use the comparative. So silk is usually colder, not coldest. Coldest is superlative. And wool, but wool is cheaper than silk. Cotton is usually cheaper. That would be it. Well, in case of comparatives and superlatives, and I know that what you were struggling a little bit with time, so it is really good news that you could finish. Thank you, Manuela, and group number 6. Okay. I'm going to share screen now. Well, guys, one of the things that we still have to discuss is talking about the project, okay? I know that most of you already have, let's say, the same classmate that you were working with from cycle 1, but some of you are new. And of course, there were also participants that decided not to continue with the course. And for example, in the case of Mendy, you are alone, right? I would like to ask you guys if you could, let's say, adopt the new participants. For example, in the case of Mendy, I don't know if you have already talked to your classmates that doesn't have a group.
Uy, no sé. Teacher, ahí adopta a Alejandra.
Okay.
Alejandra. Teacher,
Yes.
it's only two people in this project. Yes or no?
Well, I'm going to answer with a question. Why? Do you want to adopt someone else?
I don't know. I'm talking with Hamilton, but he don't have a group.
He doesn't have a group. Yeah,
He
I know
doesn't have
Hamilton doesn't have it. Who doesn't have a group as well? I guess it's Natalie. Is there a Natalie in this group? Sorry. Natalia, no, no es en el otro grupo. I am sorry. Hamilton and... ¿Hay alguien más sin grupo? Hablen ahora. Okay, well, in that sense, Mandy and Hamilton, then you will work with them. So group number 10 would be for 3 participants, Alejandra, Mandy, and Hamilton, okay? Can I can't, pues claro, por eso no lo veo, lo siento. Well, you know what I mean. No se deja, ¿verdad? No se deja. I promise I make the adjustment, ¿ok? Para que quede bonito, porque estoy toda enredada. Voy a escribirlo aquí al lado de Alejandra. La letra está tan chiquita que estrés.
How many studies in this group?
Well, in group number 10, maximum it's going to be 3, okay? Because, well, there are new participants. And, you know, my intention, let me see, Peña. It's because the idea is to save time. Because remember that on the first part of our cycle, well, on cycle 1 of this A2, you had to collect the information. And you know that we don't really have like much time. So I don't want to be like a new person working alone or working from the very beginning, because then you have to get the information and then create the visual aid. It is like my perspective, you know, like trying to save you some time. Of course, the idea of the new participants is that they help, you know, a lot, because you already have like, let's say, the collected information from the first part of A2. That is why. But I think that all of you are already assigned, or am I missing someone? There is one person that is not here, right? I mean, tonight that didn't take part of the session. Yeah, missing Juan Sebastián Papon, but he's not a new participant. No lo veo.
Teacher, Sebastián está conmigo en el 9, con Kiara Martínez.
Sí, él no está. Sebastián. Bueno, se estaba buscando un John rápidamente. Okay, so guys, all of you see your name in here, right? Todos se ven acá el nombre.
Yes, teacher.
Quería darles zoom, pero no se deja, no quieren. Thank you, Maria. So, the 2 new participants that are Alejandra and Hamilton will work with Mandy. This is the only group of 3 students. What is going to be the idea, guys? Now that you know, let's say that don't forget the information that you collected. And maybe if you have the time, you know, I'm talking about like your personal time. I know, guys, that all of you are really busy, life, university, work, etc. But if you consider that you want to like start advancing on the task, that's up to you. Remember that according to our calendar in our class 8, that is next Wednesday, we will have like a space on our class. When I say our class, I'm talking about the first part of the session. On the second part, you will continue working in content with Professor Laura. And the idea that you continue working on those, let's say, adjustments, or maybe you are going to have like that brainstorming of ideas, whatever. On Wednesday, I'm going to visit all the groups. You know, my idea is to see how much you have advanced. Remember that the intention on this part, in case that you don't remember, is to summarize the information that you collected. I have it here. Project, no. Sorry, I'm making a pause. Ahora sí. The idea that you, let's say, summarize the information collected, not to put everything exactly the same. It's not to copy and paste, okay? Remember here that, guys, that in the link that has the information about the materials, you also have the information about the project. Someone said miss, who was it?
Me, Miss, the audiovisual to send or the presentation is there?
Okay, no, to send. You know, all the, let's say, advances that we make in a 1.1, 2, and 3 are only to send. Eventually, let's say in cycle 4 is going to be the final presentation. During these 3 cycles, the idea that you send, let's say, the information, somehow you are preparing during all these cycles. So when we finish cycle 4, you make the final presentation. So for the moment, it's not presentation, it's to send it.
To send.
And,
How minutes? Oh no. Let's see. How minutes? How minutes the video?
it's not a video. No, not really. No.
Oh, I'm confused. Sorry.
Well, let's
refresh.
refresh.
Audiovisual, I'm confused. I can't.
Yeah.
The video.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And not necessarily like a video. Probably it can include some sound, but it is not a video in particular, like only you speaking. Eventually, if that's how you want to, let's say, enrich your final presentation in A2.4, that could be a choice. But for the moment, what you're doing is to create, like, let's say, the support of your presentation. Yeah, guys, for the moment, it's only to send that visual aid that is going to be, let's say, your source for that final presentation in A2.4. Anyway, I guess I'm gonna do that on Monday. I will refresh your memory again about the project. Remember that we will have time on Wednesday and also maybe some general parameters to avoid confusion. Guys, any other question? Okay, remember, guys, in this section materials, where I didn't upload the one from yesterday. I forgot. Well, here we have the general information and the information about the project. Guys, keep on working on the virtual campus. Thank you very much. Have a nice weekend. See you on Monday. Bye-bye.
Bye, teacher.
Bye.
Bye, teacher.
Take care, everybody.